Hi, we're the Zeiles.
And this is our story. My journey started a really long time ago when I was a kid. My parents had actually floated the idea of adopting a baby girl from China, and I thought it was a great idea, and that always stuck with me throughout my whole life, even though my parents never took the next steps to make that happen. And so I just thought it was the greatest thing, and for most people that know me, I love hanging around kids, and I can have a pretty good relationship with any child, a young child that I come into contact with, and so it just seemed natural for me at some point to grow my family through adoption.
And for me, obviously, unbeknownst to Meghan, long before I knew her, it was actually a very individual decision that I had made that I just felt like I wanted to adopt one day. And this was probably honestly back when I was 15 or 16. And it was something that was so intriguing to me. And obviously once Meghan and I met and were married and we had kids of our own, it kind of started to come up as a viable option, and it was interesting to see how we both had such similar stories and such a similar desire to do that. And actually my aunt and uncle had adopted children, one from China and one from Ethiopia. And so there was kind of a familiarity there in our family. And I was actually a little frustrated when they did it before me, and I always thought I was going to be the one that would kind of surprise the family with that. But obviously being very adamantly pro-life and wanting to stand up for what I very much believe in, it also was a good addition to my belief and our collective belief on why it was so important to us to go forward with that plan.
We originally kind of talked about this, and as we went through our education classes with our agency, we found out that 95% of adoptions are open adoptions, and that means that you will have some sort of contact with the birth family of the child that you adopt, and that was a little hard for Eric to swallow, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
At the beginning, and so we kind of had to take a step back and reevaluate if we would be able to honestly give the birth family what they deserved. And so
I can honestly say that I went into the whole adoption journey absolutely 100% convinced that I had to have a closed adoption. That was my understanding of adoption, and I will admit I was naive, if you will, to the situation. We actually went to the adoption agency, I think a full year, is that correct, prior to when we kind of went back, because we said we have to think about it because we weren't exactly on the same page.
It was closer to 2 years.
Yeah, and then we came back, and I remember, not exactly when, but distinctly saying, I've come to that point. I finally reached the point where I understand adoption far better than I used to, which was a very enlightening situation for me, and said I actually was at the polar opposite point where I said I want it to be an open adoption. Not that I would reject a closed adoption, but I was very open and wanted to have that openness. I would say for me, the perspective on it changed mainly because we saw in going to some of those classes, we saw the real reason why these birth mothers want to place their children for adoption. It's not because they don't love their child, which is often a misconception. People have this feeling that this child is not wanted, so somebody else must want this child instead. And it's very much the exact opposite of that. They want the best for that child just as much as you want the best for your own children. And so when you see that and you see more of those mothers with that level of love for their own child, you find yourself saying, I want to be a part of that person's life, to be able to be there for them as best as we can.
And it was also really important for us to not only offer a family for this child, but to offer unconditional love for her birth family, to let them know we are so proud of them for the choice that they made and the sacrifices that they made to choose life. And we were so thankful for the opportunity to welcome them into our family as well, and to just love them like they've probably never been loved ever in their lives before. One incident that really mirrored the gospel for us that was very surprising for me, and I didn't even realize it was going to happen, was we had the privilege of being in the delivery room when Catalina was born. And to be there and watch a woman go through the act of labor, all for the sake of delivering a human into this world, to then hand her over to another person, was the gospel in real life to me. And I just could not even believe it as I was in that moment, just to see that sacrifice. And it hit me like a ton of bricks that that is exactly what Jesus did for me on the cross.
When we entered in this to the adoption journey, and we found out that we were going to be selected, if you will, by Catalina's birth mother, we were pleasantly surprised by an incredibly interesting situation, which was that there were two other children of hers that were placed with a family that lives about 2 miles from our house, unbeknownst to us. And we got to know them and got to know Catalina's birth mother in very quick order, and instantly it felt like our family had expanded by 5 people. You know, it just grew because there was all these kids and all these everybody playing and enjoying each other. We were able to have them over to our house to visit, and it was like so new to us. It was like we were only, expecting there would be 1 child, and then suddenly there was 4 more and more people, and it was just like this growth of the family that, as you were saying, Pastor, is very, very similar to how our family, as a part of God's family, grows as we all are a part of the same family and continue to be together and grow with each other in faith.